at everyone. There we go. Hello, everybody. We should be pogging currently, I believe. Heyo, how's everyone doing today? All right. How's it going? Let me just open it up. I can see chat here. I am gaming right now. I am the hacker man. I have two separate computers with me right now. One of them is my drawing tablet that is also it's a Surface. I use it for drawing. I have the chat on one screen. I got Discord. I got the panel on one. We are pogging. We are going. How's everybody doing today? I hope your guys are doing good. I imagine this panel will be loads of fun. I hope it is. We've got a game to show you guys today. If you don't know, if you're new to SAHCON, also by the way, quick, how's my audio quality at the moment? I'm hoping that it's all right. I'm hoping it's not bad because that would be preferable.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Cam Yosh, and this is Doc Zane. And
Hello.
We are the lead developers for TABLESTUCK and Pestercord. Oh, hello, thank you very much. Somebody just did something. Daphne Bryant, thank you very much for subscribing. That's pretty pog. Pretty poggers of you. Hacker Man Real, indeed. So yeah, we're going to be today showing you how to play our game Pestercord, which you guys can play right now. There is, if you were just joining the stream, if you joined the stream before we started, you might need to refresh the page really quick. But in the description, there should be a link to both SAHCON as well as a link to the panel or the server where we're hosting the bot. You guys can join right now. We'll show you how to play. You can register, and everything will be good to go. You'll be able to play Pestercord with us. We'll be in we're gonna be playing it too.
Playing in the same weird, wacky world as your closest 50 friends or so.
But yeah. We've been working on this game. This is I originally released TableStuck on 4.13 about 3 years ago, and since we have come a long way to the point that it's like it's kind of crazy how far we've come with this, and I'm super happy to have Doc Zane here. He not only has helped me code this bot, but has given me actual skills that I can use for a job. I know how to program now, so thank you, Doc.
Huzzah for marketable skills!
Alright, so just kicking off, if you don't know what this game is, it's basically Suburb in Discord. You play Suburb Homestuck in Discord. Thank you. I think that name, is that just the name 0 for subscribing? Or is it O? Thank you, O, for subscribing. Greatly appreciated. Might want to turn Doc down a bit. All right, thank you for letting me know. All right, let me just turn. There we go. That should help a little bit. Let me know if that's good or not.
Say 5 words and I've already deafened everybody.
Oh, thank you very much, Kerbonic, for subscribing as well. Greatly appreciated. All right, so it has become its own entity. It's kind of crazy. Very excited. Oh, yeah. Wow. Thank you, Patchy Moon, for subscribing as well. Suck on I worked a lot. I put way too much effort into that little trailer I did.
Oh, God, I fucking love that.
Graves, thank you for subscribing.
It's so good. There's so much effort put into such a shit post. It makes my heart light up. It was beautiful.
As well as Trady Vendea, thank you very much for subscribing. And yes, Melissa Carpenter, yes, it is in the TableStuck portal channel on the SAHCON Discord, as well as in the description of this stream. You might need to refresh the page if you were here before the stream started, but it should be in the description. There should be a link that takes you right to this server where I am right now. Let me just jump into the general chat here and let people say hi, I guess.
Dear God.
Oh, wow, there's a... Oh, wow, holy shit, there's so many people joining.
Yeah. I'd really find that welcome channel somewhere else, but you know, when people say hi, people say hi.
Welcome, everyone. But yeah,
yeah,
no,
we have a bunch of links to the portal.
We're super
It's
excited
in the video
to get
description.
started with this. We already got 90 viewers. Hey, everybody. I think we might hit my record for how many viewers I've had at a single time, which is pretty cool. Shut up, Cam. The trailer is beautiful. Yeah, people are subscribing. Vern, thank you for subscribing. Oh, wow. Thank you guys so much. All right, so I'm going to pop into my terminal here. So, yeah, thank you, Tainted Blood Lives, for subscribing. TABLESTUCK Pog. I got my friend with SAHCON yesterday. That's great. As well as I missed someone before. Let me just see here. Vern. Oh, I already called. Thanks, Vern.
Everyone can join in for Cam. Thanks, subscribers, for an hour.
Sewing. Thank you for subscribing. I might need to stop reading subscribing. How are you even here? Somebody broke into my house while I was doing my little intro bit here. Go to Durst? Okay. All right. I'll go to Durst.
Do you think people don't
Someone broke into my house in the
house?
game. This is the SAHCON TABLESTUCK SAHCON Discord is where I am right now. But yeah, hello everybody. Let's just getting started. So this is a Discord bot. All of this is handled by a Discord bot that we've been working on for over a year now. And it's come quite a long way, I'd say. I just got pinged somewhere. Let me just check on that. Oh, and another subscriber. Thank you very much. MJ Lemon Snout. Michael Jackson Lemon Snout.
It's definitely... It doesn't feel like we've made much progress because we had our tournament on 4/13, and we've mostly just been kind of fixing a few small things from there. But if you compare it to what we had last year at SAHCON, I was looking through some of the old logs just for it. We didn't even have our pictures back then. It was just, your Spelledex was a list of inventory slots. Now we have, what you can see here, a bunch of stripe cards you can pick from and stuff like that.
So the first thing you're going to want to do, once you join this server, is there's going to be a channel you'll see. It's called #RegisterSpam. Once you go on that channel, you're just going to want to do the register command. That's all you got to do to get started. And in fact, once you do register, is the bot down? Or is it crashed? Hold on real quick. Ooh, that's not good. This is literally the worst possible time for that to happen.
It's also the most expectable time. I don't think it's, I don't think it's crashed. I think it's just... I think it's just registering 12 people at once.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, so I guess while we wait, I will do.
Yeah, look at that. Oh my. Yeah, well, it's not gonna crash. It's just gonna take some time. A lot of people are joining
at the same time. But yes, so once you start actually playing, there will be a bit of a tutorial in the game itself. Doc just added that, which is good to help you guys get started with the game. And also, thank you, Michael, for subscribing. You remember from last year, it has come quite a long way, I'd say. So, yeah, we're just, I guess I'm just waiting here for the bot to catch up real quick, just because there's such a large influx of people registering right now. It's got to make a bunch of channels, and that takes a little bit, because Discord doesn't really like to make channels all that much.
Let's see. How's that?
There are some.
Yeah, it's mostly just all the people registering at the same time for the same channel.
Discord. Yeah.
It's not even like our bot's lagging. It's just that bots are inherently rate limited, so you can't have them spam servers.
How do you join
so you can only send so many messages. Yeah, you only have it so many servers at a time and stuff like that.
So
we'll definitely probably be playing around with diversification once we finish it and make it easier for everyone in the world to use. But
so the first thing that's going to happen once you join the server and once you start registering, is it actually the bot creates a unique channel just for you. Right now, I'm actually in my own little special channel that only I'm able to access. You will also get your own special channel once you've registered and the bot properly goes through. I'll have to wait because it's currently Discord itself. There's a little bit of a lag when you try and make too many channels at any given time. So hopefully that will get better soon.
107 people vibing with us. That's cool.
I think I can't do anything though right now, which is interesting. I might actually need to fully restart the bot.
No, I mean, well, the thing is, it takes up active activity for it to take that like 2 or 3 seconds to register, and then it needs to send a message, follow up with an image for the tutorial to start, times 50. It's not a big deal, just probably give it its time. I was keeping an eye on the channels. Channels are still popping in one by one, so I think you're good to just let it keep rolling.
They are still appearing? Okay.
Yeah.
It's just going to take a while. All right. Well, while we wait for that, we'll talk a bit more about how it works. So yeah, so it'll make you a channel. Once you're in a channel, it'll you'll be able to talk to your sprite, and they'll be able to lead you through the first couple steps into setting up with Pestercord here. The bot is being manhandled by a 100U user. You are correct. That is exactly what is happening.
It does look like it's not skipping anyone though. It's just
that's good.
Adding people in waves.
Here, I just got a good idea, Doc. Would you actually want to maybe run your version of the bot in a separate server, and that we can do our stuff there while we're waiting kind of for the initial lag of the large influx of people.
Sure, let me sort that.
Well, once all these people are have been correctly registered and anything, the bot should return to its normal pace. Again, it's just such a large amount of people so quickly. And it's really just Discord doesn't like that many people making channels at one time. But yeah, so a little bit of a kind of intro on how this works. So you'll see one big feature, if you were here last year, is we did not have picture generation. If you could see this, our bot... Oh, that's a bit too zoomed in for my tastes. I'll kind of zoom it out here. We have full generation of pictures. We have lots of fun stuff going on all the time. And it's getting better and better every update we put out. I mean, your panel only has so much time. That is true. That is true. We're going to be going till about 2:30 today. Mm-hmm. Doc is quite loud still. All right, I'll turn them down.
The server will keep on running for the rest of the day. So if you can't play during the panel, it's not a big deal.
Do we have a written doc about how to use the bot as well? Kind of. We mostly have a tutorial. Once you start playing, there will be a tutorial that'll like lean you through how to begin the first kind of startup stages of playing Pestercord.
Yeah. For the when we're like all done and written here, we'll probably release another content book just like alpha and beta.
Why do all bots and Homestuck suffer? I know, right? Why does it gotta be like this? Why do they need to explode like this?
They deserve it.
Alright, so I'm gonna move over to T1. Do you have your bot running, Doc?
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so we're actually gonna be...
the hashtag.
It's using hashtag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so... once you guys, do I need to initialize a new session, or should be good to just start?
Oh, depends which server you're playing it in.
T1, right? Testing 1, 2, 3.
You should be initialized here.
All right. Well, just in case. So
you can scratch it if you want, but
yeah. So once you join the server, you're gonna want to start by register. With the register command, just so it can load up, it can create some initialize, confirm. All right. So once you register, it's going to create a new fresh channel for you that is just for you. Not a single other person in the world has this channel, and you can send whatever messages you want in it. There will also be a little bit of a tutorial there for you from your sprite, but since we're going to be just walking through, we'll just I'll just turn it off temporarily. It's tutorial toggle, right?
Switch.
Switch. There we go. Tutorial switch.
See? Right there. Valid options.
So the first thing you're going to want to do once you've started, you are now in your you are now a Homestuck character. You stand in your bedroom. It is not necessarily on your birthday, not necessarily the 13th of April. Today is actually the 12th of June. Meaning, if anything, we would be doing a troll session. Carcat's birthday. Happy birthday to Carcat. Or wriggling day, of course. The first thing you're going to want to do is going to do the inspect command. And real quick, the first thing you'll notice is because we're actually using a test bot that we have separate just so it's not lagging too much. Where do we need to go to register again? In the description, there's a server you can enter called SAHCON at TABLESTUCK 2020. I mean, TABLESTUCK at SAHCON 2021. And in that register spam channel is where you're going to want to do the register command. With the normal TableStuck bot, actually, all commands use the prefix of an arrow, like this. So I would do this and then register. But since we're using a test bot that's kind of separate, I'm actually just going to be doing a hashtag for the commands. So the first thing you're going to want to do is do the inspect command. When you do inspect, you'll be able to see a picture of all of the items that are currently in your room with you. Right now, it appears I have glasses, a microscope, a JPEG artifact, a feather, some vampire teeth, a baseball bat, a crystal ball, and a stuffed bunny. My sprite never appeared. Okay, that happens sometimes. Just do the inspect command, and you'll be able to start the actual tutorial part. Quick bust out.
You can also just do, I think, tutorial 1 or tutorial start. It'll replay the... probably tutorial 1, it'll replay the first page. I do know, because of the way I set the first message to kind of come on a timeout, it might not send when there's a lot of things going on, because bots lose timeouts when they're choking. But it still happens. It should be enabled by default.
All right, so the first thing that is important to know about the bot is that... items have certain properties. I'm not going to get too much into it yet, because that's a bit later. This is more relevant when we get to stuff like alchemy. But if I take a look at this microscope here, you'll be able to see, or even better, actually, I think the vampire teeth are one of the coolest. If you do inspect, followed by a number in the list of items in the room here. So if I did inspect and 5, which would target the vampire teeth here, you can see I can see a zoomed in kind of view of the card, as well as what all of the information on the card means. Now, this is pretty overwhelming at first, and you don't need to know all of this. In fact, not even much of it, I would say. But for now, all we're going to focus on is a couple things. So this vampire teeth, it has this picture here that's just a cube. This means that it's artifact kind. Artifact kind are just general types of items that can't be used as weapons. Most things can be used as weapons, but as long as it's artifact kind, it can't be used as a weapon. However, it has these things called traits. That's what these little bat symbols are. Every item, well, not every item in the game, but there are 64 total traits, and each item can have up to 2 of those traits. So this is vampiric, and it says that whenever I attack something, so once I actually start getting into strife combat with imps and such, I have a 1 in 12 chance to inflict the bleed status condition. So this is just, as well as there's all these funny little words here, these are attacks in the fact, in case that I was using this as a weapon. Oh, wow. Wait, hold on. We just got a huge drop in viewers all of a sudden. That's strange. But that might be just a glitch. It was a glitch. It just turned to 0 on my screen. That was interesting. I hope that
wasn't... Everybody left at once, Cam.
Yeah.
We got bored of vampires. No, you're fine.
Yeah, so this is... So the basic parts of an item are its grist type, its traits, which it can have 2 of, and its 4 actions. Where's the register spam channel? I'm not seeing it. Are you not able to see it in the Discord server? Did you hide it, Doc?
No.
No?
They might just be in the wrong server. Just make sure you're in the TableStuck SAHCON.
Yeah, make sure you're not in SAHCON. This isn't happening
Discord.
in SAHCON. If this happened in SAHCON, then there would be way too many channels for anybody to be able to deal with.
Oh my god, yeah, that'd be terrible. Yeah, you need to make sure you
Make
get
sure you're in
the second link
in the
below
description.
the video.
All right, I'm trying
The
to
first
keep
one's
this
SAHCON.
comprehensive a bit.
The second one is the server, and the third one's our private Discord, which you should join so you can keep up with us. But the game's happening in the second one.
Yeah, so that's the basics of what like this kind of means. You don't gotta know too much about it. That will come more in handy when we actually do Strife and Strife and stuff like that. But for now, what we're gonna be wanting to do is we're gonna actually want to we're gonna want to inspect again, and I'm actually going to equip that baseball bat because I think I might need a weapon in the event that something happens. So I'm going to capture log it using the capture command, followed by the position of it is in the room. See, the baseball bat has a giant 6 next to it. That means I would do capture 6. It's been put into my inventory, and if I do Silodex, we have a Silodex now with which could be shown by the pink cards, with a baseball bat in it. Pretty cool, pretty neat, I think. But there is a link in the description. There should be 2 links in the description here. Can we use furniture as a weapon kind? No. Furniture kind is also restricted from being a weapon kind.
You're not allowed to beat people up with chairs.
Just so the main reason for that is if you'll notice, if I check Silodex 1 to inspect my baseball bat here, it doesn't actually have any of those funny traits from before. Because the vampire teeth has vampiric traits, but this is none. There's no traits on it at all, and that's because the starting weapons, when you start, are just flat. It's just a normal baseball bat, and it has some interesting actions, which we'll again get to later. But the idea is we're gonna want to combine it with something like the vampire teeth, using alchemy, and when we do that through alchemy, we could put the vampiric trait onto our baseball bat, to make it, give it more, make it stronger when we fight things in Strife. Is kind of the idea of how this works. One interesting thing to note is that all of this information that I'm discussing right now is actually stored entirely in this in the 8-digit capture log code. If you remember capture log codes from Homestuck, they're a big part of alchemy. But all of the item information for this baseball bat is inside of these 8 funny little numbers here. So the capital I means that this is club kind. The 9 here means that it is the cobalt grist type. I believe you're able to see this, yeah. The 2 slashes here means that it doesn't have any traits. This doesn't have any traits at all. And then the rest of these letters determine what kind of actions it has. So alchemy and stuff isn't actually just completely random. And yes, Morty, there is a card kind that you can use. I don't know if I have any cards immediately in the area I'm in, but actually, why don't we take a look around the house? If I do just the move command without any arguments, I can see a full list of all the different areas in my house that I can visit. So let's go check out the shed, because the shed has some fun stuff usually. So if I move 7 into the shed here, we can see, we have some fun stuff here. We have a candle, a pencil, a dart, a spring, a pillow, a cue ball, a shotgun, and a trident.
Yeah, man, got a cue ball in the shed.
I did get a cue
swear
ball. Cue ball is one of the rarest items in the game. It's the vampire bat.
There's like a higher drop rate of cue balls because they show up in the shed way more than they logically should.
That's true.
Where's my fireworks? I want more fireworks in my shed.
Add in a gun to the bat. So the first thing that we're gonna want to do actually is, now that we've kind of we've picked up an item, we actually should equip our item. So the same way in Homestuck, if you remember the line, I hope you like hammers, dude. John is only actually able to equip one type of weapon at a time, so we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to allocate we're going to do the allocate command, followed by the position in the Silodex of the item we want. So it would be allocate 1 to target the baseball bat. And now our Strife Specibus is baseball bat kind, is club kind. which sounds crazy and wacky and is a very weird sentence to say out loud. But basically, that just means I can only use club kind items as weapons. So when I alchemize things, I'm going to want to make sure that I alchemize a new club kind weapon. So I'm going to just, now that it's allocated, I'll equip one. And we should be able to see in our Specibus, we now have the baseball bat equipped. And if I do Specibus 1, we should still be able to see all of our information. Not that necessarily I have anything I'm worried about fighting at the moment. Mostly just like saving some room in my inventory, you know. And also welcome. Who cares? It's a gun. It's made of tar. Stuffed bunny, bunny kind. There is bunny kind. There's 64 different weapon kinds, not including artifact kind and furniture kind, which I believe are the only two really that you can't, or construct kind. But those three are the only ones that you can't use as weapons. Everything else you can use as a weapon. But the only reason that artifact kind can't be used as a weapon is mostly just for our gameplay stuff to make it so it's more interesting, so you can't just pick up something with a bunch of traits on it and immediately have one of the best weapons in the game. Yes, I am going clubbing. Thank you, Mordecai. So yeah, now that we have that equipped to our Specibus, let's start working on installing Spurb. If I move 6, which is in my yard, I'll be able to see that there is a mailbox in my yard. It is furniture kind, and it has 2 traits here. If I inspect one to take a look at my mailbox, we can see that the mailbox is tier 0. It is furniture kind, and it has the storage trait. The storage trait means that items can be placed inside of this item. So anything that has this funny little chest symbol might actually have something hidden inside it. So once we know that, if we want to take a look and actually see if there's something inside, we can do contents, the contents command, followed by the position of the item we want to inspect. So contents 1, and we can see that inside of our mailbox, we have the Spurb disc. My view is a little bit zoomed in here just because Discord doesn't like previewing objects. We have the Spurb disc and the capture log, and some capture log cards. We have 2 of them to be exact. Is bomb kind of thing? Not yet. We don't have bomb kind, but I mean, hey, I've always been considering adding bomb kind. A lot of people seem to request it quite a bit, but now that we have, we're able to see into our mailbox here, we can see we have the Spurb disc and the capture log card. First thing I'm going to do, actually, is I'm going to capture log the capture log cards. So, this is a little bit complex, but, so first, you might try to, I'm going to pick up the mailbox. But the thing about, items with the storage trait is that you can't pick it up if it has items inside of it that are more than double its tier. So, for example, if this mailbox was tier 2, I could pick it up if it had 4 items inside of it and carry it around with me. This mailbox, though, however, is tier 0, meaning that if I try to pick it up, I can't because there's too many things in it. So instead, I'm going to want to actually try and take the Spurb disc directly out of the mailbox. So I'm going to do capture 1 to target the mailbox, and then 1 to target the Spurb disc inside of it. Again, the mailbox is the first thing in the room, and the Spurb disc is the first thing in the mailbox. And if I wanted to grab the capture log cards, I would do capture 1, 2. So I'll do that quickly, and thank you very much, Live, for subscribing. Oh, accidentally open gilded. That was a mistake. But now that we have some capture log cards in our Siladex, I'm going to take a look at them here. And we can see, once the image loads here quickly. We have 2 capture log cards. And now if I do the use command, which is a pretty general usage for anything that you have, is there ceiling kind? No, I don't think there's ceiling kind. I haven't added a ceiling kind specifically. I've never had someone try to pick up the ceiling before. If I use 1,
raise the roof.
We can add 2 capture log cards to our Siladex. And now if I look at our Siladex, boom, we have a lot more space in it. which means that's how many items we can pick up. We can pick up 6 items now and hold them at a time. Nokia phone kind. Not quite. There are cell phones, though. You can make cell phones, I believe. All right, so now that we have our Silex, we can move. Oh, yeah, we better also pick up the... Don't want to forget the Spurb disc. That's kind of what we came here for. But now we have the Spurb disc in our Silex. So I'm going to move to the study. So the study is room 3. Now that we're moving into the study here, we can see that we have quite a few things in the study, actually. We have a computer, a desk, a book, a spear, a pillow, some shattered glass on the floor. Uh-oh. Some knitting needles, a battery, and a microscope. So what I'm going to want to do is if I actually take a look here, the computer trait is another pretty special trait. If I inspect one to take a look at our computer here, the computer trait makes it so that the item can be used to play Spurb and use Pesterchum. Pesterchum, by the way, is something I think that is pretty interesting that we can get into here. Doc, can you also make a register here quick so I can maybe send you some Pesterchum messages?
Yeah. I'll get to that.
If I do open my chum roll here, you can see my current chum handle is Cam Yosh and my chum tag is CA. I'm actually going to change that. I'm going to change chum handle to Ghostly Trickster GT. So now my chum handle is Ghostly Trickster GT. I think that's pretty cool, pretty nice. And I'm wanting to change... Next up, I'm going to be adding Doc Zane to my chum roll, so I can actually send him a message through Pesterchum. Right now, you can send Pesterchum messages whenever, wherever, and whenever, but this is meant to be the service that you use in character to be able to communicate with other players in a Spurb session with you. You don't have a spear in your study? I mean, I do, apparently. But yeah,
you don't
so...
keep 5 lances on you at all times?
Now I'm going to try and... I'm going to do chum roll, add... Doc Zane would probably be, because he didn't... I don't think he set his chum handle yet. Just D-O, the first 2 letters of his name. I've added Doc Zane to my chum roll. So now if I look at my chum roll here... oh, whoops, forgot to do the command properly. There we go. I take a look at my chum roll, and we have Doc Zane now here. He is on our list. D-O is his chum tag. So, if we want to send Doc Zane a message, I would just do Pester, D-O, because that's his chum tag, and say, sub bitch. No, I would say, suck on these nuts. And through the magic of the internet, I have just sent that message to his channel. Normally, only you can see your own channels, which means that to do in-character communication, and Doc Zane has just sent me a message back that says Pog. And if I take a look at what it looks like for him and his channel, you can see now I've sent a message here that says sock on these nuts. It has the name GT Ghostly Trickster, as well as my profile picture. But an interesting thing is if you want your character, because this is a role-playing game, if you're role-playing as a character and you want them to have a different profile picture than you, that is 100% okay, and you can totally do that. Pretty simply here, let me just get a quick image link here. You can go into your terminal, you can do chum pick, followed by any image link at all. Oh, that is not the correct... That is not correct.
What did you do?
I need to... I was messed up. I accidentally copied like an entire text post for some reason. Alright, if I just copy the... now that I've uploaded this, if I copy the image link here and do chum pick... this is what now I look like. My profile picture, when I use Pesterchum and I'm talking to my fellow players, is now Erwin from Billy and Mandy. That is who I am. And I'm actually going to go all in on my roleplay here. I'm actually going to change my name to my chum handle to Irwin Real IR. I am now Irwin Real, and I will now pester Doc Zane real quick here. Hey, Mandy. And we can see that even though I haven't changed my own personal profile picture or anything, oh, I forgot to do the suffix. All right, Pester Do. Hey, Mandy. There we go. Hey, Mandy. Doc Zane has now received a message from Irwin Real that says, "Hey, Mandy," even though I haven't had to change my own profile picture or even my nickname in the server. This is just to make role-playing a lot easier for players, and a lot more, I think, personally, a lot more fun and interesting. Wheel says, "Hey, Doc," in the chat. Yeah, no, you can, that's a fun way of doing some RP stuff if you want to do it that way. You can, present a, hey, Mandy. I don't know how to do the voice. How does it go? How does the fucking, you frightened me, says Doc Zane.
Here's me, man. Short man's up to something.
But yeah, now that we have, this is good for role-playing and stuff. And also for a DM, if I was a DM and I want to actually act like I'm an NPC, I can 100% do that. And I do it all the time. I gaslight my players hard. One time I played a session of this where we had 8 real players, and I had 12 Discord alt accounts that I invited to the server that I was using and switching between to try and gaslight my players into thinking it was a 20-player session, so they wouldn't know who was real and who was fake. I think it was pretty fun.
Oh god, I'm still paranoid about that, to be honest. Some days, sometimes it still gets me. Certainly an interesting idea, though. Yeah, for those of you who've roleplayed a bunch, you probably know about Tupperbot. This is basically the same thing. It can customize what name it uses and what profile image it uses when it sends a message. Just this time it sends it cross channels.
In the future, we're going to be making it so actually you will only be able to send Pesterchum messages to people if you have a computer nearby you. Just so, actually, I think that'll be something configurable. It'll be an optional thing to do that.
Probably.
But that'll add a bit more realism to it, because there's a lot of situations in Homestuck like that.
Yeah, thanks. If you look at the chum roll, you can see that I have that little, like, offline-looking face next to my name. It's because I don't actually have a computer next to me in my room, because I just spawned in and I haven't left my bedroom yet. But Cam has that nice little smiley face, so you can tell that they are online. Right now it doesn't actually check that when sending messages, but
my smiley face means I have a computer next to me. His means he doesn't. He can still receive message even when we turn this on. He'll still be able to receive messages even though even if he doesn't have a computer near him, just because, you know, that'd be kind of mean if we didn't. But he won't be able to send messages back until he gets to a computer.
Yeah, it would be. We'll find some fun way to do that. Someone mentioned the command is always hashtag. No, it defaults to the right arrow.
Yes.
So this is my version of the bot I'm running, which I've set to hashtag, just so that we can have both bots running and we don't conflict the commands.
So in the main server, you're going to be wanting to do you're going to want to do everything with a little arrow here, like this.
Yeah. If you ever want to run the bot yourself, there's a config in the setup file that lets you change what prefix you use for every command. It's pretty easy to do. But keeping it to arrow is probably the best because it feels the most Homestucky.
That's true.
And also it doesn't have you constantly popping up channel recommendations. God, that's
all right. Moving on. Now that we've
the things we must do.
Now that I'm able to talk to Mr. Zane, who is going to be my server player, I am going to inspect the room once more, just to see where my computer is. My computer is in position 1, and in my Silodex, so is my Spurb disk. Now, I'm wanting to install my Spurb disk onto my computer. This is something I've seen a couple people have trouble with, and it's actually something we're going to make a lot easier in the future, but like we did to put the capture log cards into our Sylladex, we're going to use the use command on the Spurb disk. But now we're going to add an extra thing because we're not just using the Spurb disk. We're targeting it on something in the room. So let's say, actually, before we do it on the computer, let's actually, no, I'll just do it on the computer. If I want to do use 1, 1, use 1 being the position of the Spurb disk in my Sylladex, and then 1 being the position of the computer in my bedroom, or in the study here. So I use 1, 1, and now I've installed the Spurb disk onto the computer. I'm actually going to capture log the computer. If I do that here, I now have the computer in my Sylladex, which means I don't got to worry about being in this room to talk on Pestercord, as well as do Spurb-related things. As well, we can also see, if I do the contents on a desk in here, we can see the desk has some more capture log cards in it. But before we do that, the desk having the storage trait, meaning that items can be stored inside, I'm actually going to try and put an item inside it. So let's just capture the book here, because I've left my book on the floor. I want to put it, where it belongs. So I'm going to use... I accidentally capture logged the spear because I'm a dummy. I also just left my spear on the floor, and I'm going to put it where it belongs, in my desk. So I'm going to use 1, 1 now to store the spear in the desk. Any item that you use on an item with the storage trait will store it inside of that item, as if it was like a chest. So now, if we do contents on the desk, we can see that the desk now has the capture log cards and the spear in it. I'm going to take those capture log cards with me, though, so I'm going to capture 1, 1 to grab them. And then if I just Sylladex, we can see that everything we capture log moves into the first spot on your Sylladex, just like how the stack modus works in Homestuck. By default, that is actually currently the only modus we have in the game. However, I am planning actually to add a lot more and a whole way of alchemizing moduses. But that's still in the works. For now, though, I'm just going to use those cards to expand my Sylladex even further. So now if we do the Sylladex command, look how many cards we have. We have 10. We have a full page of cards. Hell yeah. We have space for days. So now that I have the computer installed, I'm going to want to use some Spurb commands. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to connect to Doc Zane as his server player, and I want him to connect to me as my server player. So here we see we just do the connect command with nothing, and it gives us a client code. This is my client code. You can also get this code by right-clicking your name and clicking copy ID. This is just your Discord ID. But once I have my client code here, I am going to pester Doc Zane here, and I'm going to say, hey, my client code is this number. Doc Zane should get that message, and hopefully they do the connect command to connect to me as my server player, and then they will send me back their client code. All right. So Doc Zane is connected to me as my server player, and he has just sent me the client code for his to be his server. So I'm going to actually connect to that right now. So now I am Doc Zane's client player or server player. And if you remember, like in Homestuck, what a server player does is essentially, at least at first, Rose started off by deploying a lot of big, wonky, and confusing machines into John's house, which is the same thing we're going to do. So if I just do the deploy command here without any arguments, I will be able to see a full list of everything that we can just set up in Doc Zane's house here. We have a Cruxtruder. I hope you guys can see this all right. Here, I'm actually going to change the Discord window here a bit so it's a little bit easier to kind of see what's going on here. Let me just make it the correct size for once. Uh-oh, that's not the correct size. That's stretched as hell. Just going to undo that quickly. There we go. So now, if I click this, you should be able to see the full picture. There we go. So yeah, in we have the Fernalia Registry. This is directly taken by Homestuck everywhere, by the way. I tried to keep it as canonical to Homestuck as possible, as close to the original as I could manage to keep it. While still,
even when it causes us terrible physical pain,
yes,
we manage
that's true. So I have a Crookshtruder, a Totem Lathe, an Alchemitor, a pre-punched card, a punched Designix, an instant Alchemitor, and a Transportalizer in my Fernalia Registry. But you'll see they all have different grist costs. The Crookshtruder, Totem Lathe, Alchemitor, and pre-punched card are all free. The punched Designix costs 4 chalk grist, which will actually change from player to player. And the instant Alchemitor costs 100 build grist, and the Transportalizer costs 1,000 build grist. I can't even be close to affording those. If I want to, I can check how much grist I have with the grist command. But as you can see, I have only 20 build grist and nothing else. So I'm going to open the deploy menu here again. So what we can deploy is, we're going to deploy everything that we can afford, which is just the things that are free. Because I am currently on grist welfare. So let's deploy 1, and we're going to put it, if I just do deploy 1 to try and deploy the Crookshtruder, we'll get a list of rooms in Doc Zane's house. So, because I'm going to be wanting to put this in a room where it's easy to access, I'm going to be putting all of Doc Zane's machines in the bathroom. So what I'm going to do is I'll do the command again, and this time I will do deploy 1, 5. That deploys the Crookshtruder in the bathroom. I will do the same thing with the rest of the machines in the same room, just so it's easy for him. Or, alternatively, if I wanted to be quirky, I could also put each of the machines in a completely different room in his house, just to make him have to run around.
Listen, the strategically optimal strategy is dumping everyone's machines in their bathroom, and we all know this.
That is true, because the bathroom starts off with the least amount of junk. Alright, so everything is now in Doc Zane's bathroom. And now if Doc Zane could deploy all of these machines for me, that would also be greatly appreciated.
Oh man, look at this.
Jacob Strider asks, how do you drop an item? That's a good question. So let me, as you can see, there's a thud as something is deployed in my bathroom. I'm able to see that where it's being deployed. If I inspect the room here quickly, and I catch the log, just some junk. I don't need anything. This is, most of this is junk that I have no use for. I'm going to pick up the knitting needles here. Let's say that I don't want this in my Silodex. I picked something up accidentally. I can get rid of it by doing eject. This is just from a question somebody asked in the chat. How do you drop items? If I do eject 1, I will drop it out of my, I ejected the knitting needles out of my Silodex, and if I inspect the room here, we can see that now the knitting needles are once again on the floor. Sorry, by the way, I might be super hyper right now. I don't know if I'm talking too fast or anything, but I am currently drinking my gamer juice. I am drinking an energy drink, and I am high on this energy drink. Wow,
gamer
it is strong.
juice.
My fingers are
You're
shaking.
doing fine.
All right, so I'm going to move to room 5, which is the bathroom here. And if I move into the bathroom, we can see all of our machines are now on the floor. Would you look at that? Conveniently placed for my convenience. So just to take a look at the different things that we have. We have a Crookshtruder, Totem Lathe. The Crookshtruder being the fat thing with the little tube coming off the top. The Totem Lathe being the long, skitty one. And the Alchemitor being the big, short one. As well as a card. First thing that I'm going to want to do is, I'm going to actually, if you check the contents of the Crookshtruder, you can see that there's actually an item inside of it. There's a Crooksite Dowel. This is imperative, and the Crookshtruder can make 1,000,000 Crooksite Dowels. It makes infinite Crooksite Dowels, so we can just capture log 5-1, the same way we took the discs out of the mailbox. We can pick up the Crooksite Dowel. We now have it in our inventory. So if I do Silodex, we can see the Crooksite Dowel is now here. So this is good. We need the Crooksite Dowel. We might not be sure what for yet. But, you know, there's a conveniently looking kind of spot where you can put it in the totem lathe. So let's try using just the Cruxite Dowel on the totem lathe. Let's use 1 and 6. But we're going to get an error message for that. We use the Cruxite Dowel on the totem lathe, but nothing happens. Try putting a punch card in the totem lathe first. That sounds interesting, but first I'm going to try and use it on all the machines. So let's try and also use it on the alchemeter. So let's use 1, 7 here. So let's just use a fresh... We haven't done anything to this totem, or to this Cruxite Dowel. We'll just put a blank Cruxite Dowel on the alchemeter, and it says that we've registered a totem to the Alchemy Athenium. That sounds super complicated, because it is, because Homestuck is just like that sometimes. But now that we've done that, if we do the... Basically what it means is if you do the Alchemize command here, or alternatively, you can also do ATH just to see your Athenium, which is a little bit easier to type than Alchemy. We now have a perfectly generic object in this little menu here that costs 4 build grist, which is something we can afford. So I'm going to actually try and deploy that here. So let's let me try alchemizing 1. If I alchemize 1, I spend 4 build grist to alchemize a perfectly generic object. If I inspect, we can see it's on the floor here. And, oh no, sorry, it's in my Silodex. That's a recent change we made, that it gets put into your Silodex automatically. I now have a perfectly generic object. It's completely useless, just as it should be. But that's what happens when you just use a blank Cruxite Dowel that nothing has happened on it, because we have just an empty Cruxite Dowel here. We now have a perfectly generic object, and if we inspect it, we can see just how useless it is, because it's really useless. It's got a artifact build grist, or artifact grist type, which means that is bad, as all I'll really say on that. It has the code 00000000. It is tier 1, and it doesn't have any kind of combat actions or traits. It is a completely blank object. So let's say we want to make something a little bit more interesting and complex than just a green cube that doesn't do jack shit. So let's try to pick up the pre-punched card. If I do CAPTCHA 8, because this is that's what the totem lathe before, when I tried to use our dowel on it before, gave me an error saying that you should put a card in it first. So let's pick up this pre-punched card from the bathroom, and let us use 1 on, I think it was 6, right? Yes, use 1, 6. So put first position here. I'll actually do the Silodex just so it's easy to see. We're gonna use 1, which is the position of the pre-punch card, on the position of the totem lathe in the room, which is 6. So we're gonna use 1, 6 to place the pre-punched card. Uh-oh, I just got disconnected from Doc Zane. Did my Wi-Fi go out? Doc, are you there? Uh-oh. That's interesting. Hopefully my Wi-Fi is okay.
You kind of dipped out of the Discord call.
My stream's still going, right? Time to pull my opposite.
Out.
Static resistant peanut butter. What about green needle? I'm not sure what that means. Just joined the SAHCON Discord. Nice. No, the perfect object is totally the most important item. You know what? When you're right, you're right. So now that we've put the pre-punched card in the card slot of the totem lathe, let's try and use that Cruxite Dowel on it again. So if we check our Silodex here again, we can see the Cruxite Dowel is in position 2. So we're going to be, and we remember that the totem lathe is in position 6, so we're going to use 2. We've carved the Cruxite Dowel into a carved totem. So now if we check our Silodex, we can see our item has changed a little bit. It's now carved. It's now got information in it, which we can then use. Use 2 on, if you remember, the alchemeter is in position 7 in the room. So use 2 on 7 to use the carved totem on the alchemeter. We've registered a new item into our Alchemy Athenium. So if we do alchemy, or alchemize, we can see we now have a Cruxite artifact available to be deployed that costs 0 build grist. And it, yeah, they're pretty simple. Tier 0, so it's free. Anything that's tier 0 is free.
Though it's not very helpful in cases other than your entry artifact.
Yeah. So we're going to alchemize one of those entry artifacts, which costs us 0 build grist. Check our silica here. We now have it. And if we use 1, we've now entered the land of wheat and gears. Let's just pretend that there was a funny moment where a meteor was rushing towards my house at, like, breakneck speeds.
You can always imagine you were about to be obliterated.
Yeah, always imagine that there's actual threats.
New config, you have 3 minutes to enter or your player gets deleted.
We could do that. Well, that'd be interesting. As soon as we could add a thing in a config that as soon as
as soon as you take the dowel out, or as soon as it's deployed?
As soon as it's deployed, as soon as you place your Cruxtruder in the room, you'll have a countdown of how long you have until you can enter before you get hit with a meteor.
Oh, I'm sure that'd be fun.
We don't have that right now. No need to rush. Take it as slow as you want, just to kind of learn the system. Because this is mostly just a tutorial stage to get you introduced to all the different mechanics of the game. But now that we've entered the I forgot. That I made a big oopsie. I forgot to prototype my sprite. Looks like we're in a void session, everybody.
Void session. Here, I'll prototype some stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So Doc will prototype some stuff before entering. But if I actually check lists, so the list command lists all of the people or occupants of a room, which can be players, sprites, carapations, and underlings. We see we have a kernel sprite in our room that I have forgot to prototype. Unfortunate, and this is the worst mistake I've ever done. We're all going to die. Which server? There is a where would I go in to test this? Sorry if I haven't been reading chat. I've been trying to do this tutorial at the same time. In the description of this video, you might need to refresh the page, but in the description there should be 2 links. One of them is called. Let me just double check here. TABLESTUCK SAHCON server. Right under where it says TABLESTUCK SAHCON server, if you click that link, you'll be able to go to the server where we're playing this right now publicly. You should be able to go into the register spam channel and type in register. If you've been a little bit confused by this tutorial or you joined in late, don't worry. This will be public on my YouTube channel forever. As well as the game itself will give you a tutorial as you kind of go along. We're just going a little bit more in depth than the sprite tutorial does in the game. But yeah, we can see we have a kernel sprite. So I'm actually going to put something in the kernel sprite because I completely forgot to do this before we entered. But if I move 6, because why not? Oh, it looks like Doc Zane has already prototyped this sprite. Let's actually take a look at Doc Zane's channel here.
Sure, I just kind of sped run entry real quick. I threw 2 things into my sprite, a pistol and a uranium rod. Have fun with that.
Yeah, so there is now, Doc Zane's sprite is now prototyped with the uranium rod and pistol. So once he entered, that made it so when I moved around in my house, every time I moved to a new room in my house, imps are going to spawn. So in my yard is now a uranium rod pistol imp. Thank you, Doc Zane.
You're welcome. Have fun with that.
Imp prototyping is thank you, love your face cam. Oh, thank you very much. Imps are affected by sprite prototypings, just like in Homestuck. If you prototype strong things, it'll make the imps stronger, and if you prototype weak things, it'll make the imps weaker. However, those also affect how strong or weak your sprite itself is. But now that we have an imp here, let's fight it. Let's actually take a try at fighting this imp. So I'm gonna. So if you remember before, I equipped my specibus here. We have a club kind striped specibus, and we have a baseball bat equipped. So let me actually take a look at my baseball bat here. It doesn't have any traits on it because we haven't been able to alchemize it yet. But it has 3 actions on it. We have the action Astrict, Accelerate, and Armamentify. And we're about to learn what all of those do because they're funny, funny words. So let's just enter Strife. Why not? All right, the Cobalt Uranium Rod Pistol Imp is gonna start their turn with 2 stamina. By the way, these names just get crazier and crazier the more players you have in a session. And it, on its first turn, is going to use the attack Arborize. We see the Arborize kind of tactile here. And this is a little bit confusing. Let's not worry too much about it. Once it's my turn, we can see it says I start with 5 stamina and 91 vitality. That's how much HP I have. Vitality is just the funny Homestuck way of saying HP. But I have 5 stamina right now. And that might be confusing as to what exactly that means, because it is confusing. But basically, if I do the act command with no arguments, I can see a list of actions that I have available. We can see I have 5 stamina here, and I have the actions that we saw on my weapon before when we were inspecting it, as well as 2 more. So, we have a strict, accelerate, armamentify, aggrieve, and abscond. Abscond obviously being escape combat. Let's take a quick look at what each part of these actions means. So we have the action name here. So this is, obviously is strict. We have cost, CST, that's cost. That's how much stamina it costs for me to use this action, as well as how much damage it will do if I land a hit with the action. And then there's a little box here explaining more information about the action. So as we can see here, the action is strict is a 3 cost action, which means we have 5 stamina, which means we can use this move 1 time. That will deal 10 damage if we hit, and it has reuse. What reuse means is that as long as I'm able to afford it, I can use this action more than once every turn. Aggrieve is kind of the same way. However, if I used a strict once, it would cost 3. It would cost 3 of my stamina, so I would have 2 remaining, so I wouldn't be able to afford it. But if I used Aggrieve, which does a little bit less damage, this does 5 damage instead of 10. I could actually use Aggrieve 2 times, for slightly more cost than using this once. As well as I have the move Accelerate, which makes it so all of my stamina costs are discounted for this turn, which will make it so... that's a little bit more complicated. But basically, for now, let's just keep it simple. And I'm going to just use my first action here. It's just simple. It's a strict. It costs 3, and it deals 10 damage. Is this too complicated? Because it is... if it's too complicated, please let me know in the chat. I will try to explain it better. But if I do Act... and I select the numbers next to the name here is what I'm selecting. So Act 1 would be a strict. If I do Act 1, I'll be able to see a list of every current person in Strife right now, which is just me and the Cobalt Uranium Rod Pistol Imp is in position 2. So if I do Act 1, 2, I will strict the Uranium Rod Pistol Imp. We can see the target AV. So this is another pretty important bit. Every single thing in the game has an AV. That's an avoidance value, or if you play Dungeons & Dragons, armor class, pretty much. So this is basically a funny number that, as long as with our strike check, which is a number that we roll that's between 1 and 20, as long as we roll higher than 3, we will hit this imp. Which I did. I rolled 19. I currently also have an AV of 3, because if I check my armor here, you can see that I have just default clothes on right now. I don't have anything special on. I just have clothes that give me an AV of 3. So this just is mostly how hard it is for you to be hit by your attacker, pretty much. So I dealt 10 damage with that attack, and now if we check the list command to see all the things in combat with us, we can see our imp has gone from 25 health down to 15 vitality. And with that, let me check my action list here. I have 2 stamina remaining, because that costs 3. So I can still use the Aggrieve attack. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to Act. Aggrieve is the 5th position. and the second position in the combat order, so we're going to attack 5-2. And I still hit. Even though I rolled 4 only on my strike check, it was still more than 3, which is what it takes to hit an imp. This goes up, by the way, with stronger enemies. I believe ogres are 6, and basilisks go up to 12, and or basilisks are 9, and then 12, and then so on and so on. But we dealt another 5 damage, so if we do list again, we can see that the imp is now at 10 HP. We could probably kill it on our next turn. So let's pass the turn, because we no longer have any stamina. We've spent pretty much most of it. Oh, why does every action start with the A with an A word? Asks Omniscient Frog.
Because it can.
That's just Homestuck. Homestuck. If you remember from Homestuck, these are actually like things taken from Homestuck. Here, let me get an idea here. Homestuck. Strife. Time we actually see Strife in Homestuck, I'll just post this picture here so we can see. Just during the little funny flash animations, there is these little titles here, all of which start with A. The letter A, followed by another letter that determines what color it is. So all green actions start with AG. All of these blue ones start with AB. All the red ones start with AS. And all the purple ones start with AR. Which is very similar with how our actions work. You see, our red actions start with AS. Our blue ones start with AC. Our greens with AG. And our purples with AR. Which is kind of complicated, but I am trying to stay as close to the Homestuck canon as possible when I made this game. In total, there are 64 actions currently in the game, and your weapon can have any 4 of them on it at any time. So now that it's our turn again, it seems that on their turn, the imp used 1 stamina to make it so its next action that it takes is going to be favorable. Favorable means essentially is that whenever you roll the funny number to see whether or not you hit your opponent or not, that for me has to be higher than 3. If it's favorable, that means you roll twice and then you take the higher. If it's unfavorable, you roll twice and you take the lower. Pretty much. But so now that it's my turn again, I'm going to do act. And I am going to... It looks like I started my turn with 2 stamina this time, so I might not be able to kill this imp. In fact, I'm going to only be able to do a grieve, just because I don't have much. Every turn, you will start between 1 and 8 stamina, is the maximum you can get on a turn, is 8. Unless you have some fun traits, but we'll get into that in a bit. So I'm going to act 5-2 to deal as much damage as I can. Oh, but I got a critical hit! If you roll the maximum number on a strike check, which is 20... you will deal double damage to your opponent. So I dealt 5 times 2 and 10 damage to kill it. Just enough. That's pretty cool, I think. You can see once the imp has been defeated, I get some grist here. I've got 8 build grist, 4 cobalt grist, and Culk grist. As well as 2 XP, which makes me level up 2 times. Now that my opponent is defeated, I'm better off, and let's go back to what we were doing, which was into this room so I could pick some up to prototype my sprite with. So let's grab this brick. Why not? I'm gonna move 5, and then if I do list again, we can see it's just me and my kernel. Right? If I do prototype 1, I have now prototyped my sprite with the brick. I now have a brick sprite. That's pretty cool, I think. If I then went and entered now, it would then make it so all of my imps have a chance to be prototyped with the brick thing. So they could be uranium brick sprites or brick gun sprites, that kind of thing. Brick pistol sprites. But yeah, so that's kind of the basics for how combat works. And now that we have some grist, how much grist do I have? Doc, what kind of grist do I need to be able to deploy my my funny Punch Designix?
That's a good question. You need 4 cobalt grist.
Which I just got from killing that amp.
Isn't that
It
convenient?
is very convenient.
Yeah, so the kind of grist you need for your punch design matrix is always going to be one of the four kinds of underlings that spawn your land, and that's their primary grist. An underling will drop its primary grist that's in its
Mhm.
name. So if you needed, tar, you just run around your house till you find a tar imp, and you'll get enough grist to deploy it. So you only really need to win one strike to begin alchemy,
Mhm.
but definitely something to pay attention to. The secondary grist is completely random, but it spices up what you have just a little bit. All the weapons in your house also are only of grist types of enemies that will spawn in your house.
Mhm.
So you shouldn't run into too many problems with finding the right grist to do your first alchemy.
Yeah. All right. So just let me know when you've deployed my punch Designix.
I'm gonna shove it in your bathroom
Sounds good to me.
like
That's where everything else is. Starting to get a little bit cramped in here.
just remove the toilet.
All
Move the
right. So
bath.
now we can see we now have a punch Designix as well as our other stuff. So how does the punch design works? It works the exact same way as it does in Homestuck. So if I check my Sylladex here, first thing we're going to need to use the punch Designix is a capture card. Does Grist Torrent exist? Not yet, but it will soon. It will eventually. Not quite yet though. Uh,
Yeah, being able to transfer grist will eventually be a thing that can be done.
so the first thing I'm going to need to use the Punch Designix is I'm going to need a capture log card. So what we could do to get a blank capture log card that we've already put into our Sylladex here is if we do the eject command, once again from before I mentioned that you could use this to throw things out of your Sylladex. If we do that on a blank space, so if we do that on the 10th spot in our Sylladex, which is no items on it, it'll eject a capture log card instead of an item, which is then placed on the floor here. So we can see I'm going to capture log that. If I capture 9, I now have a blank capture log card, which I can use on the Punch Designix, which means we've inserted a capture log card into the card slot of the Punch Designix. This is required to be able to do alchemy, like some bigger alchemy stuff. We are running out of time here quickly, so I'll
You'll
try
have
and
enough
speed
time
it
to
up.
finish alchemy.
Yeah, and that's really the kind of the biggest thing to get started with it. Is a bit more the most kind of complicated and hard to learn thing. All
Yeah,
right,
there's a
so
lot of nuance to alchemy, which is, one of the most fun things I think about TableStuck is the
mhm.
alchemy system. Lets you do a lot of really interesting things, and it can take some time playing around to figure out how it works. I think the tutorial does an all right job kind of explaining how it works, but nothing like experience.
So let's just say we want to duplicate an item that we have in our house. Let's start off with just the candle. So let's capture 4. So we now have a candle. If we use 4 on, or use 1 on actually, let me just inspect. Since we actually removed something from the room, the positions of all the items in the room has just changed slightly. So now the Punch Designix is position 7. So if we use the candle on the Punch Designix while there's a card inside, we punch the code for the candle onto the punch card inside the Punch Designix. It's starting to get a little bit complicated, but basically, if we capture 7-1, actually, you know what? Let's go all the way. Actually, let's do some real alchemy here. Let's capture 3 now to pick up the rose as well. So now that we have the rose and the candle, let's use 1 on 6 now would be the spot for the punch card. So now we punch the codes for both the rose and the candle on the punch card. So if you remember from before, our alchemy before, all we need to do to duplicate it, all we need to do to alchemize something is put a punch card with the data of it in the punch design or in the totem lathe, and then carve a totem onto it, and then we can duplicate it the same way we did with the Cruxite artifact. But now we have punched 2 codes onto the same card. This is called or alchemy. That's what it is in Homestuck. Basically meaning we've just combined the 2 items here. We've just combined the rose and the candle into one single thing. So if we do captcha 7-1, or sorry, captcha 6-1 now. Captcha 6-1. we now have a punched card in our Sylladex. So if I check my Sylladex here, yep, there's the punched card. Now that we have that, let's also, because there's actually still in the Totem Lathe is a punched card from before, so I'm actually going to capture 4-1 to get rid of the old punch card, the pre-punch card that we got at the start.
Always clear out your punch, your Totem Life, because then you'll end up with some really weird items.
We're going to use the punch card we just made on the Totem Lathe. So let's use 2-5. Use 2-4. That we're that's not use 2-4. There is now a punch card in the card slot of the Totem Lathe. Perfect. Let's now capture 3-1 to get another Cruxite Dowel from the Cruxtruder, and then we will use 1-4 to carve that with the new code of the item we've just made. So if we use 1-5, we've now registered a totem for the new item we've made into the our alchemy screen. So if I do alchemize, and also yes, the VOD for this stream will be available after the fact. We can see we've just made a new item, alchemized item here. So if I inspect here real quick, or sorry, Ath1, I can see information on this item. So before, if I check my Sylladex here, before we had two items, a rose that had the thorns trait twice, and a candle that had the hot trait twice. By combining them, we now have a tier 2, still an artifact kind item, that has both the hot trait and the thorns trait. It has 2 traits at a time. This is how kind of alchemy works. You combine things, and you'll get a combination of the items. We have hot trait in the first position and the thorns trait in the second position. So now that we have this, what can we do with it? Well, first, can I actually can I afford to make it yet? How much?
Probably not, considering you've killed 1 imp.
That's true. Usually, before you get to this point, you're going to need more grist. But for now, just because we're running out of time, I'm going to give myself some grist using some DM commands.
Yeah. So while he does that, one really nice thing with the way we do alchemy now is it doesn't cost you anything to try combinations. I mean, except a few capture cards. So you can line up a bunch of things, but you don't have to expend grist on something until you're sure you want to. So once you actually know and have enough grist for it, you can do what Kemi's done and alchemize the item, and it pops out into your Sylladex.
Yeah, so now we have an alchemized item that's tier 2. So let's actually rename this here. Let's the Fire Flower. I think is a good name for that.
I think it's fitting.
Rename 1 Fire Flower. Alright, so now if we check our Sylladex, we've just created the Fire Flower. It's in our first position here. Alright, so that's pretty cool, I think. I think we're getting some stuff. Let's actually clear some junk out of our inventory here. So let's actually move to the shed. That's always a good place to dump stuff you don't want. Well, there's another, there's an amber imp in here if we need that. But for now, I am just going to eject 2. I'm just going to eject everything that we don't want from our inventory anymore. Just because we don't, just because it's getting kind of full of junk that we've been accumulating along the way. Maybe I need the computer, but I don't gotta worry about it. We're getting to the end here. Oh, I accidentally ejected a catalog. That's good, because I need a new one anyway. So if I inspect 2 here, it's gonna probably be on page 2. Oh, sorry.
It all works out in the end.
If you do inspect followed by page and then number, you can actually see different pages of items. Now we're on page 2 of the shed inventory. So we're gonna capture 16 to grab that capture log card back. So if we move back to we move back to our bathroom here, we're going to try the next kind of alchemy. We're going to use our capture log card we just picked up on the Punch Design X. So use 1/6, because we always had to put a card in the card slot of our Punch Design X. And this time we're gonna use alchemy to make a new weapon. We're gonna make a new weapon using alchemy. So we're gonna eject 1. So we've just ejected the baseball bat. So if we inspect, it's probably going to be in position 8 here. Or it's in position 7. So let's captcha 7. We now have a baseball bat. We're going to put this code onto the baseball bat here. So we're going to use 1, 6. Punch the code for the baseball bat onto the punch card. So let's captcha 6, 1 to get the punch card. And we're going to put it inside of the totem lathe here, which still has the card, if you remember, for our fire flower. It still has the card that has all the information for the fire flower. You can put 2 cards in a totem lathe. This is and alchemy. This is the second form of alchemy. We're going to use 1 for... Both forms of alchemy are slightly different. You don't gotta worry too much if you're just a casual player, but there are differences in the alchemy that you'll probably figure out as you start to work it. Inserted the punch card into a card slot in the totem lathe. So if we captcha 3, 1, get ourselves a new dowel, we're gonna use 1, 4 on the totem lathe to get a new carved totem. Use 1, 5 to register it to our alchemy Athenium. And so if we do Ath here, we have a new kind item that is club kind and has now it has the hot trait, which is pretty interesting, I think. A little bit more different than what I was expecting. I was actually expecting to have the fire trait, the hot trait, and the other trait from before. But now we have a fire bat, which is pretty cool. What should we call it? What's a good what's a good name for a flaming a flaming bat?
I don't know, a fun time for sure.
So actually, I'm gonna give myself marble 4 at Kamyosh. I'm gonna give myself 4 more marble grist. Again, you'll need to actually kill imps to get this grist, but we're kind of running out of time here. To alchemize myself a new weapon, which is now in my inventory. So, let's call it cast iron. Why not? That's a good. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Naming the items you make is half the fun.
Cast iron. All right. And if we equip one now, we now have a stronger weapon in our... oh, whoops, I forgot to do the thing. We now have a stronger weapon than we did before. Bat out of hell, actually. I like that better. It's too late, but I like that better. Bat out of hell. So let's actually move back out to the shed where we saw that imp from before. And, oh, there's actually 2 imps here now. Shouldn't be a problem, though. Oh, by the way, always do the heal command between... You can do this up until you get... You can do this up until you reach a certain level of proficiency with alchemy. Once you get the quick alchemeter, you won't be able to heal. But for now, you can heal for free to full health. So always good to do between fights. So now that we're healed, let's actually enter a fight with these imps. Let's enter Strife here. And let's try out our new baseball bat. It's my turn. I start off with 3 stamina. Let's see what actions we have, because they might be a little bit different. Because we got some actions from our fire flower that we didn't have before. So we still have a strict, which is good, but a strict, because we made a stronger weapon, instead of before it dealt 10 damage, now it deals 14. Same with a greave, used to deal 5 damage, now it deals 7. So we're dealing more damage. As well, we have our door, which will inflict daze. Daze means that on their next turn, they will start their turn with 0 stamina, as long as we hit them. Or is it... No, sorry, that's stun. Daze means that when they roll stamina on their next turn, it will be unfavorable. Since we have 3 stamina, let's go all out, and let's just strict one of them. So let's just act. Oh, whoops. So let's do Act 1 to select a strict. Act 1, 2. And we've dealt 11 damage. So here's another thing that's important. It says this hit is ineffective. So this, what I just hit, was a uranium imp. And if I check Specibus 1 here, I can see my thing. Actually, did I not? Oh, sorry. It was a cobalt uranium rod imp. But, okay, it was a cobalt grist type imp. So this is what grist types actually get important. I'll explain. This will be probably the last thing I explain, but grist types are important because not only does it determine what kind of grist I need to make an iron. So if you remember, I spent 4 marble grist to be able to make my my bat out of hell was a better name for it. But you can see here, there's at the top of the card, there is the picture of the marble, and then there are 4 grist types here that are in blue and 4 that are in red. These are important because the reason that these are important is because whenever I use a marble weapon to attack anything that is garnet, chalk, shale, or calc grist types, which are all the blue ones. Anytime I hit anything that if I were to hit a shale imp with my marble bat, it would deal extra damage because this is an effective grist type. It's kind of like Pokemon types. But at the same time, if I were to hit amethyst, iron, cobalt, or amber imps with this bat, it would deal less damage, which is what happened. This was an ineffective attack because I hit a cobalt imp. So I only I dealt 14 minus 3 damage, which means I dealt 11 damage in this attack. This is just how grist effectiveness works, which is just a quick thing to note. But I think that's a good place to wrap up. That's the last major thing I wanted to talk about.
I think you covered pretty much everything.
Yeah. There's a lot more to discover in the game. This is basically how to start playing the game, but there's a lot more to discover. Once you kill enough imps, I'm actually going to give myself 1,000 build grist here, just to spin forward a little bit. Once you kill enough grims. Once you kill enough imps and get 100 build grist, also as you start to get higher in the Echo Ladder, ogres will start to spawn, which are a lot harder to kill, deal a lot more damage to you, but drop a lot more grist. You will be able to build up to your first gate. So, Doc, could you actually do the build command for me really quick before we wrap up the stream here?
Sure.
So we can see what it's like once we get to our land here.
All right.
My land now reaches gate 1. So if I do the we can see we have a number of gates. And I have reached gate 1 because I've spent 100 build grist. So let's enter 1. And here we are. If I do the map command here, we are now on our land. We are on the land of wheat and gears. This is a land you can explore all the way. We're on the easiest part of the land. The higher gates you get, the more of the land you will unlock, and the harder the enemies will be to find it. And we can actually see I'm a Doom player here. And as well as that, if we move more quickly here throughout our land, you can move around doing move north, west, south, and east to explore. We can enter a dungeon here really quick, just for fun. If I do the enter command on a dungeon, I have now entered this dungeon. And if I there's an ogre here that I probably won't be able to kill. But if I keep moving through this dungeon, map here, I probably won't be able to see much just because I'm in the first spot. But in this little mini map here, you can see that the path moves left. If I keep moving through this dungeon, I will keep fighting more monsters until I get to the end of it. And the very end of it is going to be a boss room that has a chest in it. And inside of that chest is going to be some neat items for you to be able to discover once you play on your own, which you can do right now. If you go into the description of this video, of this stream that you're watching right now, there should be a link right under where it says TABLESTUCK SAHCON server. If you click that, you'll be able to join the TABLESTUCK SAHCON Discord server. We are currently running the bot on it right now. If you come join, you can have a lot of fun. There's already tons of people playing. We've been working on this for a long time, and we're really glad to be able to see you guys play it. Right now, it determines your class spec randomly, Taliburn. But in the future, we're going to make sure that you can pick it. Right now, the class spec doesn't do very much, because this is still a game that we're in the works of. But we have quite a bit. Oh, one last thing I want to show you. You can also do sleep. This is something you could check out if you start to play with the bot.
Newsom.
You could check out Prospit and Durst. Right now,